Good afternoon, everyone. Mule trains and horses delivering supplies to those stranded in the North Carolina mountains. Comet Atlas making an appearance just next week. You'll see it in the skies. Record rainfall across New Zealand. This all seems to have a pattern to it. Let's take a look. And I've said in the last several videos, which is now a series of destruction across North Carolina, East Tennessee, so many roads are washed away, bridges, etc., that the only way to get in there up into the higher elevations is now what you're seeing here, horses and mules delivering supplies, otherwise known as gifts. They're not donations, they are gifts. Wink, wink. Good way around that bureaucratic paperwork. And I did want to take note also, they need clothing. They're in desperate need of warm clothing as well as food, water, and medicine. As you can see here, as hurricane spins through Florida next week, it's going to draw this cooler air pattern down in, and it'll be about 10 to 15 degrees cooler than normal in those medium to higher elevations. And if we look at the railroad tracks here, and I've watched a couple videos. This was a good one that you're going to want to take a look at. Not just the damage, but the description and the contour of the land is greatly changed and how that will affect as well. But to get rail help in there too to bring supplies, this is what pretty much every rail line looks like through mountainous areas of East Tennessee, North Carolina, parts of Georgia. It's going to take years to fix this. Now, I know so many people are going to be watching the next hurricane, Mitch, I think it is, spinning through in the next few days. So these radar classifications, non-biological clutter, that comes from wind turbines. We've got the hurricanes, which is the precipitation. You'll see the eye wall and that sort of that thing. But the biologicals, this is fascinating for me. Passing migration of birds. You've got the insects there, like mayfly emergence, butterflies at times, and then the bats when they come out at the dusk hours. So there's your pattern for different types of radar signatures. And speaking of a signature, panic signature here. Now, these are lines in Costco. The line is way, 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 way up at that white board at the front up there. That's how long the lines are. I mean, people are just buying at this level because there was a port strike. Imagine when it happens when there's a real deal where it's cut off for weeks or months. And with that disaster being said, the roads of North Carolina are in tatters for the western part of the state. But here, because so many people are buying electric vehicles, North Carolina is exploring funding options to supplement declining funding from the gas tax. So if you don't buy fuel, as in gasoline or diesel, then they need taxes to drive around. So they're going to go on a mile-based user fee, which means you pay for how much you drive, not how much fuel you use. Remember, that was the thing. Get an electric car, you won't have to pay for fuel. Hey, it's like living for free. Not anymore. And perhaps this was the plan all along, that whole bait and switch, carrot and stick, because of the yellow car at the bottom reminded me of a carrot color. And if we're looking at old growth forest, speaking of mountainous regions, what you're seeing today is just regrowth from when it was clear cut back in the 1800s. You might think they're massive, mighty forests, but there's really very little old growth left across Appalachia. There's very little old growth left across the West Coast, but when there was old growth, this is what they cut down. But it's all regrown into the massive forest you see in the national parks today after that 100 and some years. Hopeful that nature will regenerate itself. Bank of America said, do what central banks are doing, buy gold. Gold is up 20% in 2024. The tech-heavy AI-driven NASDAQ only 17%. Reports coming out of a Samsung solid-state battery breakthrough sent silver skyrocketing. JP Morgan forecasts silver to surpass $36 an ounce in 2025. And Patriot Gold Group has an OP for Life IRA, where your IRA or 401k could be in physical gold or silver. No fee for Life IRA on qualifying rollovers. Give them a call, 888-546-7020. And now on with the video. Now, speaking of regeneration here, let's look at the Comet Tail from Comet Atlas. International Space Station, you can definitely see the ionosphere there, that clear demarcation where space and our atmosphere electrically connect. Now, if we're looking at light waves in there, it's almost like a fractal dark side of the moon when you're looking at different F layers, but that's a subject for a different video. Electrification possibilities in each layer. But as we move forward, Comet Atlas, Western Horizon sunset, and as we march forward, and each day is the month of October date, so 13, 14, 15, and then somewhere around 15 to 16 looks like it's going to be really good viewing, really very high in the sky, and then when we get toward the end of the month, it's definitely going to be very visible. How long will the tail grow? Not sure, but this is previous. The Chinese, they comets, it's always a bad omen. And here's a list of comet tails that have been cataloged over 4,000 years. That's how worried they are about this affecting life here on our planet. So take that 4,000 years of warning when you see this type of comet tail. Also, we are on the edge of the cliff of our civilization. And yes, this person is underwater on the edge of a sea cliff. Interesting shot there. Black mysterious ring. I think that could be mosquitoes maybe. Insects of sort. That's why I popped that radar image. Would we have noticed something insect-wise on there? Not sure. But these rains seem to be happening across the planet. So another record broken out of a string of dozens over the last week. New Zealand, state of emergency, wettest day in over a century. And I thought, okay, I've been looking at the longer term forecasts anyway in the southern hemisphere because of the sudden stratospheric warming and how that colder air mass got knocked out of place, and now it's trying to reassemble itself, and it turned into these kind of propeller-like movements across the continents. It's very defined here. But as we go to the left, or the, say, 8 or 9 o'clock position on the chart here, we see cold Australia, and we see that whip of extreme upper-level winds right over New Zealand. And Australia is going to be getting chilly. These are 2-meter ground temperatures, and is that 16? Something degrees Celsius, which is about 25 Fahrenheit below the normal temperatures. So those two match up pretty well. And if you're looking at it from a cloud view here, literally high resolution satellite, these all seem to match up with this vortex. And as we move out to the 9th, you'll start to see that even cooler period. Now, wet is one thing, but cold is another. Now, New Zealand, prepare. You are about to get hit with an Antarctic blast this late coming into the springtime. Wet is different from cold, and even the atmospheric models here, their forecast runs back from October 1st out through this time period, showed us a blocking high is going to push and keep that cooler air right over you. And as we go out through the 10th, that's going to continue. It's going to be a couple-day event, but then it's really going to lock in on the east coast of Australia, and you're about to see some chilliness. And if we look at Dunedin, wettest record day since 1923, 2.4 times the average October rainfall in just 40 hours, not even 2 days. So again, we're starting to see epic rainfalls across the planet. And as I was looking through the temperature anomalies, Africa came up. So this is interesting, how much dew there will be in the morning and how much moisture will be created by this temperature difference from day and night. So again, we're looking at something about 23 degrees Fahrenheit cooler than the normal in that really lighter purple. And then when we get to the blues, we're looking around 10 to 15 Fahrenheit below normal. But it stretches all the way from west coast of Africa straight through. Now, not equatorial, probably about 10 degrees north. And it just continues from the 6th to the 7th, and then even to the 10th, we still have that demarcated line. So you have to ask yourself, is this the switch that everybody's been looking for the African Sahel to become much wetter, and the possibility of setting up a new agricultural zone there, tapping into the different sandstone aquifers beneath the feet? Nubian sandstone aquifer in the north, Sus aquifer over Morocco, and then just a plethora of others that have been very little utilized up to this point. So if the above ground water rainfall increases, temperatures drop a little bit, and then we have the beneath ground water that we can pump up. Double rotation crop in an area that is more than double what all of Canada and the United States crop growing regions are. Food for thought there of who's planning that, and how would you get all the people out of the way? That's another thing to consider there. So many anomalies right now. Amazon's becoming a desert. The Sahara is becoming a forest. did a video about that. But everywhere you look, definitely signals, signs in the sky as we are entering a shift of ages. Literally, our planet is about to do 180 degrees on itself in terms of vegetation and sand dunes. I appreciate you watching. Hope you got something out of the video. Please share with friend and family. North Carolina, East Tennessee really need help, especially clothing when it's starting to get cooler now. If you can get down here, anything you can do, and get you in contact with the right people going up higher if you need to go that way. See you next time. Bye for now.